Imagine holding a book so controversial, so explosive, that religious leaders fought for centuries to keep it hidden. A book that reveals secrets about fallen angels, forbidden knowledge, and humanity's true origins. This is not fiction. It's the Book of Enoch, and it was deliberately removed from the Bible. Why? Because what it reveals changes everything. 1. The book that vanished from history. Most people assume the Bible we have today is complete. But what if I told you there were dozens of sacred texts that did not make the cut? The Book of Enoch was once considered scripture, quoted by early church fathers, and even referenced in the New Testament. Yet by the 4th century, it disappeared. Who decided it was too dangerous to keep? And what were they afraid of? Consider this. The Book of Enoch was so influential that early Christian writers like Tertullian and Origen openly endorsed it. Jude, the New Testament author, directly quotes Enoch in his epistle, yet somehow, this book vanished from mainstream scripture. The real question is not just why it was removed, but who stood to gain from its disappearance. When Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity in the 4th century, the church suddenly had political power to protect. Texts that challenged official doctrine, especially those suggesting humans could access divine knowledge without intermediaries, became threats. The removal of Enoch was not an accident. It was a deliberate act of control. And here's something even more telling. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church never removed Enoch from their Bible. While Western churches buried it, Ethiopian Christians preserved it as sacred scripture for over 1,600 years. This raises a disturbing possibility. What if the forbidden label was not about heresy at all, but about maintaining power? If everyday believers could access the same mystical insights as Enoch, what would that mean for religious authority? 2. The shocking content they did not want you to see. Enoch's writings describe events so bizarre, they sound like science fiction. Fallen angels interbreeding with humans. Giants roaming the earth. Advanced knowledge given to humanity against God's will. These weren't just myths to ancient readers. They were real, terrifying possibilities. If these stories were true, what did that mean for the church's authority? The Book of Enoch does not just describe fallen angels, it names them. Azazel, Shemaiah, and dozens of others are identified as the beings who taught humanity forbidden arts, metallurgy, weapon-making, astrology, and even cosmetics. These weren't just random sins, they were technologies that could elevate or corrupt human civilization. The text suggests these angels did not just fall, they rebelled, deliberately violating divine law to reshape humanity's destiny. Even more chilling, Enoch describes these angels binding themselves with oaths, creating a secret pact to defy heaven. This was not a minor transgression, it was an organized conspiracy. And according to Enoch, their punishment was severe, imprisoned in darkness until Judgment Day. But here's what's rarely discussed. The book implies their influence never truly ended. Their hybrid offspring, the Nephilim, became tyrants who filled the earth with violence. Sound familiar? It's a pattern we still see today. Hidden knowledge, corrupted power, and systems of control. 3. The hidden truth that changes everything. Here's the breakthrough moment. The Book of Enoch was not removed because it was false. It was removed because it was too revealing. It describes a spiritual reality where humans are not powerless, where we can access divine wisdom directly. That idea threatened the religious power structures of the time. But here's the good news. This knowledge was not lost forever. The most radical idea in Enoch is not about angels or giants. It's about you. The book describes Enoch himself ascending to heaven, not as a passive observer, but as an active participant in divine mysteries. He's shown the workings of creation, the secrets of the stars, and the future of humanity. This was not just revelation, it was initiation. And that's why it terrified the gatekeepers of religion. If one man could access this wisdom, what stopped others from doing the same? Modern scholars have noticed something startling. Enoch's visions align with near-death experiences reported today. The descriptions of multiple heavens, celestial beings, and a life review process are eerily similar. This suggests Enoch's journey was not just ancient myth, it might be a roadmap. The book even hints that this path is open to those who seek it with purity. That's the real secret they tried to bury. Enlightenment is not reserved for the elite. It's your birthright. 4. The conspiracy to silence Enoch. By the 4th century, the church was consolidating its power. Texts that did not align with official doctrine were labeled heretical. Enoch's book, with its radical ideas about human potential, was buried, but whispers of it survived. Copies were found in Ethiopia, preserved by monks who refused to let it die. Why were they willing to risk everything to keep it alive? The suppression of Enoch was not just about theology, it was about politics. When the Roman Empire adopted Christianity, the church became an arm of the state. Suddenly, texts promoting individual spiritual exploration were dangerous. The Council of Laodicea in 364 AD did not just reject Enoch, it banned private angelic worship altogether. Why? Because if people could commune directly with divine beings, they would not need priests, bishops, or emperors. But the attempt to erase Enoch backfired spectacularly. Copies survived in Ethiopia because the Aksumite kingdom was geographically isolated and fiercely independent. Their version of Christianity never bowed to Rome's authority. Today, as scholars compare the Ethiopian Enoch with Dead Sea Scroll fragments, they're finding something remarkable. The text is more consistent than many canonical books. This was not heresy. It was preservation. 5. What the Dead Sea Scrolls confirmed. In 1947, a discovery rocked the academic world. The Dead Sea Scrolls contained fragments of the Book of Enoch, proving it was widely read and respected in ancient times. This was not some obscure text. It was central to early Jewish and Christian thought. So why did later leaders pretend it never existed? The Dead Sea Scrolls did not just confirm Enoch's authenticity, they revealed how widespread it was. Multiple copies were found, more than some books of the Hebrew Bible. This was not fringe literature, it was core curriculum for the Essenes, a Jewish sect that may have influenced John the Baptist. Even more compelling? The scrolls show Enoch was being studied and copied centuries before Christ. But here's the bombshell. Some Dead Sea fragments contain Enochic material not found in any other version. These lost passages describe astronomical secrets and a solar calendar that challenged the temple's authority. This was not just spiritual teaching, it was scientific knowledge. No wonder the establishment wanted it gone. When you control timekeeping, you control society. Enoch's calendar threatened that control. 6. The empowering message they tried to erase. This is where things get really interesting. Enoch's message was not just about doom and judgment. It was about awakening. The book teaches that humans are not meant to be passive. We're meant to seek, question, and grow. That's why it was suppressed. Because knowledge is power, and power is dangerous to those who want to control you. Enoch's most subversive teaching is not about the past, it's about the future. The book describes a coming judgment where the wicked are punished and the righteous are transformed. Not just rescued, upgraded. Enoch is given a glimpse of a new creation where corruption is erased and humanity reaches its full potential. This was not about passive salvation, it was about evolution. Modern physicists have noticed something uncanny. Enoch's descriptions of celestial mechanics align with quantum theories about multiple dimensions. His vision of a second heaven, where physical laws differ, sounds like a parallel universe. Whether you view this as prophecy or metaphor, the message is clear. Reality is far stranger and more magnificent than we've been told. The book was not suppressed because it was false. It was suppressed because it was ahead of its time. 7. The forbidden knowledge hidden in plain sight. You've probably heard of the Nephilim, the giants mentioned briefly in Genesis. But Enoch gives the full story. These weren't just tall people. They were the offspring of angels and humans, beings of immense power and corruption. Their existence explains why the ancient world was so obsessed with bloodlines, secret societies, and hidden knowledge. The Nephilim weren't just giants, they were hybrids. Enoch describes their souls as neither human nor angelic, trapped in a state that could not enter the afterlife. This explains ancient myths worldwide about restless spirits and earthbound demons. But the real shocker? The book claims their spirits still wander the earth, influencing mankind toward violence and corruption. This is not just ancient history, it's a lens for understanding modern power structures. From bloodline obsessions in royal families to secret societies claiming esoteric knowledge, the patterns match Enoch's warnings perfectly. The book even predicts these corrupt systems will return before the final judgment. Coincidence? Or a playbook we're still following? 8. Why modern readers are rediscovering Enoch. Today, people are waking up to the truth. Scholars, spiritual seekers, and even scientists are studying Enoch's writings with fresh eyes. They're finding startling parallels between ancient texts and modern discoveries about human origins. Could Enoch have been right all along? Today's resurgence of interest in Enoch is not accidental. As people distrust institutions, they're returning to suppressed texts for answers. Artificial intelligence researchers have noted Enoch's descriptions of watchers sound like advanced beings observing humanity. Astronomers point to his precise celestial maps, impossible without telescopes. Even geneticists ponder his tales of hybridization in light of modern DNA manipulation. The most profound shift? People are realizing spirituality does not require intermediaries. Apps like Sacred Texts Archive have made Enoch accessible to millions. Podcasters and scholars are decoding its secrets. This is the church's worst nightmare, not rebellion, but awakening. 9. The church's biggest fear and why it failed. The attempt to erase Enoch did not work. His words survived, and now they're spreading faster than ever. Because truth has a way of resurfacing, no matter how hard someone tries to bury it. The real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? The attempt to erase Enoch failed because truth is fractal. It appears in fragments everywhere. You'll find echoes in Sumerian tablets, Egyptian wisdom texts, and even Native American oral traditions. This is not about one book. It's about suppressed human memory. Now, as technology lets us cross-reference ancient texts instantly, the cover-up is unraveling. Young theologians are demanding to know why Enoch was removed. Historians are proving its influence on Jesus' teachings. The genie is not going back in the bottle, because you cannot unsee what you've already glimpsed. 10. How to read the Book of Enoch for yourself. You do not need permission to explore these ancient secrets. The Book of Enoch is available now, translated, analyzed, and waiting for you. But be warned, once you read it, you'll never see the Bible or the world the same way again. This is not just about ancient history. It's about your right to know the truth. If this resonates with you, hit like, subscribe. And let me know in the comments, what's the most shocking thing you've learned about the Book of Enoch? And if you're ready to go deeper, I've linked the full text below. The choice is yours. The knowledge is waiting.